Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we continue to have and behold, even if it is a bit of a reach. You'll note we already moved on to the next sector. As expected, the travel event was just a repeat. In this case, illusory maggots. So we are straight into Nephriti's Dominium. Let's see what we got. Okay. Another fleet of unknown ships, actively guarding a planet. And we can already make out the crescent shape, so that's obviously more Necron. We'll work our way around to it. Savannah World. Abandoned camp. Under thin clouds, as if shredded by a careless blade, sway vast steppes carpeted by pale gold deadwood. The rogue trader's attentive eye distinguishes a region among the endless grasses that does not fit into the general landscape. The scouts from the shuttle see signs of intelligent life. Judging by the trampled soil and tent frames, someone made camp here. Distant silhouettes form a tangle of paths and obstacles. A maze. The outer walls are supplemented by a multitude of spikes and blades and decorated with scraps of leather and withered, crucified prisoners. It does not take an expert in xenoculture to reason that the Drukhari have been here. Ugh, those guys again. First time we're seeing them out here, though. As they comb over the tracks left around the Drukhari structures, the scouts find items of Imperium make. Blood-soaked clothes, an Aquila patch, and a data slate cracked in half. Gothic letters and the symbol of the Inquisition are frozen on its bottom half. The sentence fragments make up part of an exploration report. The servants of Von Valancius find a rough illustration of the camp in the pocket of a filthy coat. On it are marked 2 locations. The first is shown with a sword and highlights the area where the items were found. The other is a skull and points to a patch of ground by the maze. The scouts carefully inspect every piece of land in the marked area and discover a camouflaged pit studded with strong, thin needles. In a niche sunk into the wall of the trap glitters a volumetric flask with an ugly creature that looks like several brains stuck together. The rogue trader's people recognize the grotesque figure as a Drukhari Medusa, a parasite capable of registering emotions and transferring them to its masters. This thing was left here as the equivalent of a Pict recorder, collecting the suffering of the Drukhari's victims. Yeah, that makes sense. Set a bunch of traps, lure people in, record the whole thing, and come harvest the pain later. It's interesting it's out here, though, because, as far as we've seen thus far, this is purely Necron territory. The flask explodes into shrapnel fragments under a salvo of the scouts' rifles. The remaining liquid is collected into several test tubes to be examined in the ship's laboratorium and put to good use, or destroyed on the orders of the rogue trader. Pain blocker. Deep prints belonging to the landing legs and a ladder are visible in the grass behind the maze. The relative positions of the recesses correspond to the design of an Imperial shuttle. When the Von Valancius scouts approach, they find a wax seal bearing the symbol of the Inquisition and a monogram formed from the letters XC. An officer voices the proposition that the initials correspond to the name of Lord Inquisitor Xavier Calcazar. Yeah, thanks. I got that. A segment of the dry grass a few meters in front of the prints from the ladder has been cut, as if scythed. Among the chopped stems lies a piece of a Drukhari trophy, a flap of dark skin stretched out by thin chains. Most of it is covered by a tattoo, a silhouette of a storm or tornado, and a black symbol composed of curved lines and sharp shapes. That's the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest, which nets us a master-crafted Hekatari blade, and Last Stand, a unique shield. Oh, with sort of a last-ditch defense mechanic, something we don't really need. Not that we have anyone who uses shields in our current crew anyway. It's really just Solomorn, and he's sitting this one out. Alright, well, I'm still not entirely sure what to make of this, but we might as well purge the place while we're here. Make sure no one else walks into these traps. Fuel. Which again is odd. I don't know why they keep giving us trading goods when we can't actually trade in Act 5. I'd love to know if it's just oversight or if they are actually planning ahead for some future DLC. The predatory structures do not burn easily, and it takes a long time for them to heat up. When the flames finally gather strength, turquoise explosions flash amid the yellow-orange waves. Whatever was down there was dangerous. I see. You know, it sounds like that should have cost us fuel, not actually given it to us, but I guess it doesn't really make much difference either way. We'll take it. And on we go. Lord Kenton, there was an incident on the flight deck. The planet we discovered is located at the coordinates of interest to the Honorable Ulfar, Angel of the Emperor. The moment he learned about this, he chose to abandon ship. He ordered a shuttle to be provided to him and directed it to the world before us. We do not know where exactly he wishes to go, but the augurs have tracked the shuttle to its landing site. He stole a shuttle? How? He's like 8 feet tall. Lord Ulfar simply showed up at the deck, drove the enforcers away, and demanded he be granted clearance for takeoff. Your servants became frightened and dared not disobey his orders. Why wasn't I informed while this was taking place? He forbade it, and the enforcers did not dare to defy an Angel of the Emperor. I am very sorry. Alright, look, I'm not going to pretend I'm happy about this, but I get it. If there's anyone on this ship whose orders carry similar weight to my own, it would probably be his. I apologize for having to bring you this troubling news, Lord Kenton. Yeah, well, what's done is done. Let's get down there and collect our wayward wolf. Ice World. Search expedition. A scouting party, led by the rogue trader himself, makes planetfall on the frozen world. The shuttle on which Ulfar Thunderlung departed the ship has been designated the starting point for the search. Said shuttle is found at the landing site, intact and undamaged. The machine spirit is in fine form and is ready to ascend from the world's surface. No clues have been found as to Ulfar Thunderlung's intended destination, but a keen-eyed scout sights several disturbed snowdrifts that may indicate the route taken by the Space Wolf. The scouts discover numerous structures, burial grounds and obelisks of the Xeno race that once ruled these star systems, all of which are now encased in ice and solemn, sepulchral stillness. No signs of activity by potentially hostile Xenos have been detected. The group bravely ventures onward into the realm of blinding white and crackling frost. The sky is soon blanketed with snow clouds that block out the stars' light. The wind, howling like a pack of hungry spirits, sweeps away all tracks and whips up a furious storm. The path is full of dangers, a treacherous crevasse hidden under the snow's crust, suddenly opens wide underneath the Enforcer's feet. It is only the vigilance of the Lord Captain and his companions, who hear the telltale crack in time, that saves the soldiers from certain death. A few hours later, the expedition comes to a plateau. Rising up ahead is the dark hull of an Imperial trading vessel that once landed on the world's surface. The ship is identified as the Revelation Granted, the merchant cog commandeered by the baleful Howl on Footfall. No signs of struggle or other misfortune are found aboard, only some useful cargo in the hold. Contrary to expectations, no crew members are found, dead or alive. The ship has been abandoned, and its fuel systems are non-functional. The Promethium has frozen solid and ruptured the tanks and pipes. The escalating storm sweeps over the group as if trying to bury them in darkness, snow, and obliterating whirlwinds. The Enforcers search the area and return without finding anything of interest. Not all of them return. In fact, several seem to have lost their way and fail to make it back to the ship. Oh, okay. Seems like they're maybe pushing us to camp. But I mean, we've got to at least try. Fresh tracks in the snow leading to the ship's airlock indicate that Ulfar was here, and recently. However, he was not alone. The scouts find strange dips in the snowdrift surrounding the ship. It seems that someone was watching the ship from a position buried in the snow, around the same time that Ulfar Thunderlung was searching it. Oh, interesting. Space Wolf, Necron? Could be either. The raging storm makes it impossible to establish a Vox link with a rogue trader's vessel, leaving the expedition stranded without aid. But probably not for long. The officers on the bridge should have immediately dispatched help as soon as contact with the scouting party was lost. Alright, yeah, they're definitely pushing us to camp. In the raging blizzard, it is impossible to determine which way the Space Wolf might have gone. A pair of brave trackers strike out on a long-distance scouting run, and still have not returned, hours later. Alright, I get the message. Let's stop throwing our scouts to the wolves. We'll set up camp. The bone-weary soldiers welcome the chance to rest. Watchful sentries stand guard while their more fortunate comrades stuff themselves with the now frozen rations of the ship's vanished crew. The temperature inexorably plummets, but the brave enforcers following the Lord Captain's example staunchly endure the trial and do not lose heart. One of the sentries delivers an anxious report to the Lord Captain. He has seen a massive shadow in the darkness, and it was definitely not Ulfar Thunderlung. Oh, okay. Well, here's where it gets tricky, because are we assuming Space Wolf Survivor or Necron? Or possibly some indigenous life form that can somehow survive out here? And I think, given even the chance of a potential survivor, we should play this with restraint. As we've seen, Space Wolves, assuming it is one, are a bit volatile even under the best of circumstances, so we shouldn't do anything that might be perceived as aggressive. We'll simply invite them in. Barrels of frozen promethium are dragged outside. The frozen fuel reluctantly succumbs to the heat of the thermal cutters, and fires kindle around the ship. Even this is not enough to dispel the snowy darkness, but the people are buoyed up by the additional light and warmth. A messenger rushes to the Lord Captain to report that one of the sentries is missing. Large tracks have been found near the sentry's post, as well as a few drops of blood. Okay, so whatever is out there is aggressive. And it definitely seems to know how to navigate the stormy weather, so I don't see any benefit to doubling the sentries. That would basically just be feeding it more warm bodies. But if we go on the offensive, in theory, if Val is participating, we might get some actual skill checks. No. Well, a squad of the best fighters, led by the Lord Captain, ventures outside the ship and scours the area twice. Unfortunately, the only result of their efforts is several squad members disappearing without a trace. Alright. Fine. We'll hide in the ship's compartments. No point in staying outside where it clearly has the advantage. We'll force it to come to us. The sentries are brought inside and the fire is extinguished. Silence reigns in the ship. The frightened people do not move a muscle, afraid to give themselves away by so much as a whisper. A terrible rumbling cuts through the roar of the storm, the clash and clamor of battle. It is followed by a furious, agonized scream, which could very well be Ulfar. And I mean, although there is a very good chance that this might actually just be a trap, we've got to check it out. Tied together with ropes and bolstering each other with battle cries, the enforcers rush toward the battle in human chains. Unable to see anything ahead in the darkness and swirling snow, they blindly stride toward the source of the battle's monstrous thunder. Oof. The rogue trader strides ahead to find a firing position from which he can view the battle. Suddenly, an eerie shadow leaps out of nowhere straight at the Lord Captain. It's cloaked by the snow and dark, which turn it into a barely discernible silhouette that emanates the promise of death. A bolt of lightning strikes the rogue trader before he can act to avoid it. The Lord Captain collapses insensate in the snow, and only the intervention of the enforcers, who rush fearlessly to the defense of their lord, force the malevolent foe to retreat. Ulfar has been found lying in the blood-soaked snow. There are signs of a terrible battle all around, and the Space Wolf's body is covered in grievous wounds. The expedition healer doubts that even an angel of the Emperor will last long with such injuries. With great care, the insensate body of Ulfar Thunderlung is borne to the shuttles, and wasting no time, brought back to the ship for urgent treatment. Despite the healer's prognosis, the Space Wolf's spirit clings on, and he drags himself out of Mordecai's jaws. Okay, wow. I mean, unfortunately, considering they kept kind of funneling our decisions there, I'm not sure how much sway we really had over how anything played out outside of that final skill check, which unfortunately we did sort of flub. Though that is a shame, because it would have been nice to get at least a hint at what we're actually up against out there. We'll see what Ulfar has to say. When you approach, Vigdis pulls away from her fine-tuning another Vox, and bows her head. Vigdis, how fares Ulfar? I've heard he's already up and about.
He is feeling better, Lord Captain. The ship's surgeon was amazed at his resilience. The esteemed Lord Ulfar is currently convalescing in his chambers.
I'm glad to hear it. Let him know I'm coming up. We need to talk about what just happened. Oh my, these are, I gotta say, bud, these are some pretty fancy chambers. An acrophobic's nightmare. Ulfar's dark figure towers over you. His head is lowered, his hair hanging in a curtain across his face. His fair skin is crosshatched with broad, crimson scars, held together by metal staples and covered with black, spiked runes for physical healing. Could any ordinary mortal have survived such injuries? Unlikely. With a twitch of his fingers, Ulfar bids the two servants in attendance to step away, so as not to intrude in your conversation. They silently retreat. Edvedr, I must thank you for saving me. I had a difficult battle. So it would seem, and there are ways we could have potentially made your battle less difficult, but I'm just glad we got you out alive. I always survive. Yeah? Is that why you went down there alone? Because you're sure you can't be killed, and you don't want to see the other people around you keep dying in your stead? After a few moments of silence, Ulfar says quietly, Yes, so I did not have to bury your body in the snow, Edvedr. It is not out of arrogance that wolves do not allow mortals into our affairs, but because the burden of those deeds is heavy, and they reek of death. Just consider what kind of threat you could have been facing, in a place where an entire pack of Astartes have disappeared, if I had risked you for the sake of fulfilling my vows. Would that have been worthy of me? Oh, Ulfar, buddy. Look, I appreciate your concern for my well-being, as misguided as it may be. Ulfar heaves a sigh, which seems to hang in the air between you. You and I are different. Your way is to rule and build, while mine is to destroy and chase down prey. Such is the Allfather's plan, and in that plan my death on the battlefield is an expected and joyous event, while your death would be premature, sorrowful, and damaging to many other lives. I mean, you're not wrong, but you had to know I was going down after you anyway. Look, what's done is done. Did you at least find what you were looking for? Any trace of your missing pack? We saw the ship. The vessel, yes. The revelation granted. That was them. Inside there were signs that wolf scouts leave for their brothers. The baleful howl landed the ship on the surface and left, and the rest of the crew disappeared. I followed my brother's trail until an unknown foe blocked my path, and battle ensued. What kind of foe could possibly face a space wolf in single combat and come out on top? You might have actually died if we hadn't intervened. An evil spirit. It attacked me from behind and wounded me instantly. Ulfar points to a particularly gruesome scar on his chest, the strike clearly intended for one of the Space Wolf's 2 hearts. The wound gives off a strong medicinal smell, but it is not one that you recognize, probably a Fenrisian balm, brewed by Ulfar himself. Your healers would faint after one whiff of such a potion. The snow covered my eyes, and I could only make out a shadow, but it moved fast and it was strong. If the Allfather's gift had not knitted my ribs into a hard carapace, that blow would have been my last. The wolf says these words with chilling nonchalance. Well, look, you've got to remember, it's not just you in this, okay? We could have talked about this. The way you did it, there was no chance I wasn't going to follow in your footsteps. Try to bring you back. That could have gotten me killed just as easily. The way your pack led that crew to a certain death. The wolf shrugged sadly. Do not blame us for what we are. Death always clings to the warriors of the Allfather. Then we are fated for no deeds other than those accomplished in the jaws of Mordecai. You know, a little Kai goes a long way. You don't always got to be out there looking for more. Ulfar nods in agreement, his face grim. I've got to say, Ulfar, whatever happened down there, it definitely seems to have taken its toll. Normally, you brush this stuff right off. By bitter paths comes wisdom, in wake of bloody losses and shattered dreams. Heavy thoughts weighing on its broad shoulders, it enters unbidden, and takes a seat by your hearth. That bad, huh? Thinking back on your whole life? Going full introspective? Yeah, I've been there. I can certainly see how that might make one more somber. No, at better. About the future. Have you ever wondered what it means to be an Astartes? To know no other family but your brothers in battle? To know no other feast but the joy of slaying your enemies and extolling your fallen comrades? To know with certainty that your death will be terrible, brutal, and agonizing? For time holds no sway over us, and no warrior of the Allfather has ever breathed his last in a soft bed. Death holds no fear for us, at better. We have been eating at the same table since day one. You know, despite what that spirit may have told you, the future can also hold good things from time to time. I mean, not all prophecies come true. I've got 2 diviners on staff, and I'm pretty sure they've both gotten it wrong at least once or twice. Prophecies are more of a suggestion. Listen, Atvetter. When the Wolf Priest tested me, I went to the gate of Mordecai, a dark place where real space and the thoughts of the great wolves intertwine like the tentacles of a kraken. Everyone who appears before the gate is granted a vision, and mine was a dark omen. I saw myself in 2 guises, one as white as the moon, and the other as black as the lowering sky. And the 2 were locked in combat. As for which me emerged victorious, that was hidden from my sight. But that is not what frightened me. The Black Wolf's gaze was fearsome, full of more pain than he could ever inflict himself. It drove him mad, turning him into a monster. And as dark as he appears, I recognize myself in him. After all, I was made for destruction, torment, annihilation. I am the more agile monster. Does that mean that by the All-Father's design I must drink this cup of pain to the bottom in order to fulfill his plan? I do not know. Ulfar looks at you, his expression inscrutable. Ulfar, I've been meaning to ask, why do your sagas never seem to rhyme? Rhymes are empty frippery. A saga must be alive. If the words happen to fall into a rhyme, well, that is grand. But to make your whole story fit neatly into such a pattern, you must either twist the truth in the service of beauty, or live your life for the sake of a rhyme. Neither is to a wolf's liking. Our sagas are voices sounding through eternity. When we hear them, we do not hear stories. We hear the tellers, speaking their words to us, now. You think the rest of your pack's still out there somewhere? Do you really think we'll find them? I will find them. Ulfar clenches his fists. Probably not alive, but I will find them. All right. Thanks for answering my questions. You have a right to them. Well, all that aside, I'm glad to see that my people managed to find a chamber worthy of servicing a Space Marine. The splendor and monumentality of the chamber befit the solemnity of the sacrament unfolding within. As if performing an intricate dance, the servants of the Omnissiah move in time with the murmuring mechanisms, circling the massive space wolf while he stands utterly still. The scent of sacred incense fills the air, giving the sense that one is witnessing a great ritual. An Astartes needs very little. A cell and a table where I can perform the purifying rite on my weapon. That is all I require. But to keep the armor bestowed upon me by the Allfather in some shabby cubicle would be sacrilege. This chamber will do well for the vesting ceremony. There is good plasteel beneath the rich decoration and gilding. Yes, I am satisfied. So what exactly are they doing? Aside from tending your wounds, I mean. All this just to get dressed? Yes, it is time for me to don my skin again. Ulfar shrugs wearily, his body giving off heat and animal scent. One of the servants opens a casket containing contact unguent. It will be used to anoint each of the black carapace's neural ports, marring the wolf's skin. This sacred augmentation seamlessly fuses Ulfar's body with his armor, and every fiber bundle of it. So what comes next? I assume you're headed back down there? I must return. My foe awaits me. And it would be dishonorable to retreat from this battle. But I will need help in the fighting. Well, you know I'm going down there with you this time, right? I mean, aside from the fact you almost got yourself killed going it alone, I feel like by the transitive property, your unfinished business is now mine as well. I know, Edvetter. Ulfar nods to the servants, and in low voices they begin a guttural prayer. Shadows leap across the walls, twisting together in a majestic and savage dance. In the flickering candlelight, the sacred rite is performed. The angel of the Emperor is clothed in the armor of unwavering faith, and his wrath. Neat. Ulfar, standing on a dais beneath the gilded vaults, resembles a cast metal statue of a space marine, as seen adorning many temples. All that is missing is the armor. Sensing a task not yet complete, mechadendrite tentacles descend from the ceiling toward the wolf, preparing to begin the sacrament of vesting. The skin of the wild beast conjures up images of a bloody battle between the one who now wears it and the creature from which it was taken. The resplendent armor of the Emperor's Angel, which has seen more than one battle, and taken more than one ferocious blow in its centuries of service. The backpack is the repository of the mighty machine spirit that supplies the Space Marine's armor with the motive force. Its efforts ensure that the heavy armor does not burden the wearer, but rather multiplies his strength and endurance 100-fold. Oh, so that's what they do. You know, I always kind of wondered. I guess I just kind of assumed that they were fancy backpacks to put their ammo and stuff in. I will also say, you know, as someone who has never really been particularly enamored with the Space Marines, you know, hence why I never really played them much back when I did actually do the tabletop. Aside from Salamanders, you know, I had the full battalion box set for those guys. I will say, having an actual Space Marine, even if it is a Space Wolf who they're a bit of an outlier as far as Space Marines are concerned. Just being able to do these one-on-one interactions between a Space Marine and a non-Space Marine really does help kind of humanize them. I find them more interesting now. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'm going to go reset our bonuses, make sure we're ready to head back down. And we will pick up here next time. One last side quest for the road. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.